think about the dream, my mind goes back to of course, the I Have a Dream speech. And the interesting thing about that dream and when our campus was born is that both of them happened in 1963.
They were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Dr. King delivered the I Have a Dream speech in August of 1963. Our campus was established officially in September of '63. When I look at the first yearbook for our campus, the leader at that time, the chancellor at that time that wrote the foreword, talked about the dream of this university, fulfilling public education for citizens from all creeds, all backgrounds. And so there's a wonderful parallel in the dream when this campus was established in terms of who was created to serve, who it was created to provide educational access and opportunity for, and Dr. King's dream of everyone being able to achieve their goals. My name is Deborah Burris, and I serve as the Director and Chief Diversity Officer for the Office of Equal Opportunity and Diversity here at the University of Missouri St. Louis. Our office is charged with making sure that our campus is a great place to be for whoever decides to come here. And we work very hard to make sure that our campus environment is welcoming to all who come, regardless of their background, their race, their age, disability status, LGBT status. We work very hard to make sure that we create a campus community that is welcoming to everyone who chooses to come here.
From a historical perspective, the university was founded in 1963. The purpose of the university was to provide a four-year education at top quality, access to as many students as possible at an affordable cost. That opportunity was not available back there in 1963 in the St. Louis region, and with that we merged with the University of Missouri system to form a four-campus system. And when you look at our student body, you can tell that these are the kinds of students that this is the university they have to be at. That's what we're all about, and we serve the community, and on top of that, a bonus is we provide the workforce for St. Louis.
When we talk about advancing opportunities for people, advancing diversity in an organization, the leader, it starts at the top.
So I'd like to refer back to Margaret Ross Burnett. She was a chancellor 2 chancellors ago, and she gets credited with opening up the campus more to the community. And she did that in grand style, and we're all following in those footsteps.
Mr. Norman Say was the director of the office at that time.
Norman became the affirmative action officer when Marguerite Ross Barnett came in. We had had several affirmative action officers, and Norman came in. I believe he was the 4th one. I always knew that if there was a problem, Norman would handle it.
Well, my role there were 2 things. One, to increase the number of African American faculty members, and the other was to increase the number of African American students. Both were, in my opinion, exceedingly low. And so we had to struggle to increase both numbers. My background was that of people, blacks, whites, etc., working together for a common goal. And I was excited that I had the position and the time and the energy to increase the number of African American and others.
Mr. Say by far is one of my most respected, valued mentors of my life. And when I came to the campus as the assistant director working with him, I just learned so much and really appreciated the work that he and others had done in the civil rights movement.
Well, I do believe it was the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that began to change this country. Obviously, if the legislators passed that kind of legislation, it meant the whole society was beginning to say things had to change. We began to welcome, more of a welcome for diversity. But I think it was really the 1964 Civil Rights Act and then the Title IX Act, which brought women on a par with athletics. It was the federal government saying if you get grants or contracts from the federal government, like a university would, then you had to comply with affirmative action. The University of Missouri St. Louis is the only one of the 4 campuses of the University of Missouri that never had segregation. And I think that made a difference. I don't think we were used to being apart. From the very beginning, we were together.
Obviously, it was a totally different experience than Beaumont. I've graduated from all-black high school and all-black neighborhood, and the University of Missouri St. Louis was anything but an all-black university. And I got here in the fall of 1967, so that represented diversity, just being racially integrated. The civil rights movement kind of ended in 1964, 65. And so by the late 60s, you were in a totally different period. There were real challenges to a lot of the governing assumptions of America. The black student movement and the anti-war movement really defined America in the late 60s. Now, I happen to be a founding member of the Association of Black Collegians that we started, I guess, in the spring of 1968. So if you were a college student in the late 60s, and were not comatose, then it was almost incumbent upon you to be engaged in a level of political activity. That's when the young people fundamentally thought that they could change the world and was attempting to do it, and it was exciting and exhilarating being part of that.
The struggles we have, perhaps to a certain extent, is maybe in achieving success. We'd like every student to come in and eventually graduate and get that baccalaureate degree, get that master's degree, get that doctoral degree. And sometimes there's challenges with respect to that. Part of it is maybe the preparation coming into the university, the mindset, the family support. There's a lot that we have to work with to make sure that all of our students succeed.
I was the first woman appointed to an administrative position campus-wide, and that was under Emory Turner. So about the 70s, things were beginning to really change. You could sense that. And I will say that I could never have become an administrator, nor could I have ever become chancellor without the support of my male colleagues. We were not trapped in tradition. So it was possible for a woman or an African American or someone of diversity to get their niche, to fill the place at UMSL and grow with it.
My name is Dana Stock, and I'm the manager at the Souchier Institute for Women in Public Life. Politics is a male domain historically, and those positions have been held by men. And so part of the work that we try to do at the Souchier Institute is provide students and women in the community with women role models. Souchier is the woman who holds the record for length of service by a woman in the Missouri legislature. She served 13 terms in the Missouri House of Representatives. And the Souchier Institute actually began as the Institute for Women in Public Life in 1996. And we are a nonpartisan educational organization here at UMSL that works to support and encourage women's participation in government and encourage them to be more involved civically. When I came to the Institute, I was really impressed and in some respects surprised that this kind of organization existed. There are so many really wonderful, smart, talented women who I feel like sometimes they're hidden, like you don't even know they're here until we go around the room at one of our leadership programs and they introduce themselves and they talk about their accomplishments and their visions and the organizations that they've started. There are a lot of really outstanding women students here who are hungry for opportunities to be more involved in the community and really make a difference. You know, just as we had one Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, followed by another, there are breakthrough moments, and in Missouri, it's my hope that at some point we will have that breakthrough moment.
I've had female students that have come with thoughts and dreams about what they want to achieve. You will only go as far as your dreams will take you. If you don't believe that you can achieve and you don't strive for that goal, you won't get there. And so if I had a young female were to come to my office aspiring to be president of these United States, I would again encourage her and say, okay, you can do it. Go for it and do it.
People with disability are clearly one of the diverse groups that are more and more on the scope. MIMH came over to UMSL about 2 years ago. We were previously with the University of Missouri at Columbia. The thing that struck us most really was what a wonderful, welcoming community UMSL is, and how we were really included in many aspects of campus immediately, enthusiastically, and with open arms. UMSL is clearly a very diverse campus, and MIMH is a diverse institute. So like UMSL, we're also the face of the world here at MIMH, so it was a really good fit, and we were pleased to find that sort of diversity to join with. We have a number of programs that directly serve different minority groups. Probably the hallmark one is Girls Holler Back, which is a program that provides an education and relationship intervention to young African American women to reduce their chance of getting HIV and reduce their chance of substance abuse by strengthening their family ties. Diversity is really about when it's bad, when it doesn't work, it's because it causes separation and people feel isolated, they feel apart, they feel different from all others. It's the same thing with mental illness. Mental illness often is most harmful because people, like some diverse groups, are stigmatized and people pull back, and then they don't have that social connection, that sense of being understood by others, that even when you're having symptoms of mental illness, if you feel connected and feel understood, then you're much more likely to adapt and deal with it successfully.
When we talk about our students with disabilities or our employees with disabilities, we have to always remember that talent comes in so many different packages.
Well, it was important to our campus to make sure that individuals were treated fairly and had equal rights to accommodations. I've had blind students who have successfully gone on to graduate school. One student, he was actually a quadriplegic. He completed his degree here in criminology and criminal justice, and then went on to law school and became a lawyer. We've just had many, many successful students with learning disabilities and attention deficit go on.
Just because a person may have a disability or a person may be different than the majority does not mean that that individual does not have the answer to some of the world's problems of today.
I'm Michael Walker, and I'm a junior studying for my bachelor's degree in information systems. I chose UMSL because when I was in high school, I worked with my vision teacher. She talked to me about how UMSL was a great school for students with disabilities. And then I started looking at information systems, and then I found that the information systems program builds on the core of the business program, so you basically get the best of both worlds, technology and business. And if you're ever thinking about getting into something like web development, which was a hobby for me, so I thought, well, it wouldn't hurt to have it as a career. Well, information systems was the way to go. My hopes and dreams for myself are that after I finish my degree in information systems, I plan to work as a software developer or systems administrator. Maybe as I become more experienced, maybe I could improve technology for people with disabilities.
Knowledge is about looking at things from different angles and different perspectives, and with diversity comes diverse points of views, diverse ways of thinking about things, diverse ways of understanding things, and diverse ways of solving problems.
We want to create the kind of campus community that is welcoming, that will enable people to achieve their dreams, to realize all of the gifts, talents, and skills that they bring to the table, that they can maximize those skills and gifts to their full potential. And that's what we're here to do.
African Americans, in many ways, kind of opened the flood door with the civil rights movement. But, you know, the civil rights movement, really, as we know it, is not over. It's not over. Until recently, people of, you know, gay, lesbian population in the United States faces a lot of discrimination. And in many ways, I think they borrowed from the struggles of people of African descent. You still have women issues today. I'm pretty sure that in some institutions you go to, women don't make as much as men do in terms of, you know, equity in pay. There is still a lack of equity there. We still have a lot of sexism in our society. And that's one of those barriers. Hopefully we'll see a female president of the United States shortly. Hopefully. This is the greatest nation in the world, but it's not produced one yet. So, I mean, the struggle is still there. You know, people still have their fears, you know. People still, you know, still have their phobias when it comes to, you know, even race. I mean, even within we have a black president, yes, but within the last election alone, I saw a lot of T-shirts. I saw a lot of insignia on T-shirts that scared me. You know, I saw a lot of insignia about people talking about getting the white back in the White House. I still worry, for example, about the safety of our president today. Though it's the greatest place to live in the world, you know, you still have some of those phobias and fears, and you really can't say that we've overcome yet, you know. And I think that's part of being human, is that we continue to struggle with these things. We continue to struggle, and we continue to try to reach that utopia.
Well, certainly with the dream, we want opportunities for everyone. And that's the kind of campus we are. In fact, many of our graduates are first-generation graduates. That means they're the first in their family to get a good degree. That really reflects the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King, that, you know, all of our students can have that opportunity to succeed. And it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter, you know, what gender you are. You have that opportunity to succeed. And we'll do everything we can at the university to give you that opportunity to succeed.
I'm West African, you know, originally, and I mean, I know that when I compare societies, I won't even dream about comparing some of the improvements or strides that have been made in the United States with the strides that haven't been made in West Africa or East Africa or even South Africa. So, you know, while we grumble about our situation, sometimes some of us who are from different backgrounds or backgrounds other than the United States are grateful for the society we live in, because we're able to compare and look at what happened in a place like India or in Pakistan to a girl who wants to study, who simply just wants to improve her life. We stand on the backs and the shoulders of certain people who have suffered, who've, you know, shed their blood on the rocks for us to be able to walk on.
Well, when I arrived, the diversity on campus meant white students and African-American students. There was approximately 8 to 10% African-American students on the campus, and that was the meaning of diversity at that time. There were essentially no international students on the campus. The first large cohort of international students that came here were from Malaysia. They were students who had completed 2 years of study at Mara Community College in Malaysia. They were ethnic Malaysians, and since the Malaysian government provides special economic benefits for people of Malay or Malaysian background, they had government scholarships to complete their education in the United States. And these Mara Community College graduates were attending several universities in the Midwest, including UMSL. I would say probably at our peak we had approximately 100 students from Mara Community College.
I'm Jason Jan. I came to UMSL as an international student in the fall of 1997 from Malaysia. I came here for my bachelor degree in finance. I'm the owner of Froyo, a local frozen yogurt chain in town. It's a self-serve frozen yogurt stores. I started Froyo 4 years ago, back in the fall of 2008, with one store in the Delma Loop area. and in 4 years' time, we have grown from 1 to 7 stores. Our revenues have grown since then from 600,000 to now more than 2.5 million. The International Student Office was very welcoming and also helpful in actually gathering all of the international students from different backgrounds in hosting different cultural events at that time. The students who were brought up here in the States were very welcoming, were very helpful, and were very curious about our culture, where I'm from, the types of food that we actually eat, and try to actually learn more about our culture at the same time and try to expose more about the culture here in the States to us. UMSL not only provided me with a quality and affordable education, UMSL actually has provided me with a full package, I call it. UMSL is where I met my future wife on the very first day on campus.
When I was growing up in St. Louis, there was no public education unless you wanted to be a grade school teacher. I wanted to teach, I knew I wanted to teach, and I got a scholarship to St. Louis U. I really do believe in education as a wonderful thing because it is the way that members of my family were able to reach their potential. And I always wanted that for St. Louis because I was fortunate to get the scholarship, but I knew a lot of my friends didn't have that kind of money. And there was no public institution for them.
One of the most important things that you gain from a college experience is the ability to really interact with people from different backgrounds. And I think the more exposure you have to diversity in college, whether it's working with students from different ages, different cultures, different religious backgrounds, it really just adds to the value of your education and it makes you a more well-rounded person. The Office of Multicultural Relations is a huge asset to our campus. I mean, being an urban public university is so critical that we have programs and services to meet the unique needs of our students. Just in fall 2011, we had our best retention rate for minority students in school history. We retained 80% of minority freshmen. It's the first time in our school history we retained over 75% of our freshmen. So definitely excited about where the office is headed. Every year we're becoming more and more diverse, and we have to, again, make sure that we have the services in place for our students to be successful.
I kind of got to move to the U.S. out of nowhere. So whenever my mom told me, let's go to the embassy, if we get the resident card, we'll be on our way to the U.S., I said, okay. But what we didn't expect was for us to get it and then be on our way 2 days later. So we literally had to drop everything we had and just leave. So when I first came to UMSL, I decided to look for organizations that I could join, and I became a member of the Hispanic Latino Association. Some of the things we do, in which we do tend to focus on more, are just events for the campus. We have done things like celebrate a Hispanic Heritage Month. We do like to have students come and join us to do charity work, so like volunteer work. We have also volunteered for the International Business Conference because it's one thing to hear from a person about their culture, but it's a whole nother to actually be a part of it and talk to them and go out with them and interact with them, not only in school but outside of school, because we do make friends. We do become friends. So it's really nice.
Honestly, I believe that many colleges and universities, their goal is to make sure that they have a diverse student body and they have a diverse faculty and staff, but they haven't thought about how those different populations interact. I mean, do you have an opportunity to learn and grow with these different individuals that you see every day when you go to class?
Well, if Dr. King were here today and he was talking about his dream, I'd have to say his dream is my dream, in a way. And I believe that we have come a very long way. And I'm delighted that I've been able to get an education and to teach and to be a faculty member.
I feel he would be very proud of what the University of Missouri has accomplished. We're a linchpin within the community. We embrace diversity. We look for opportunities for our students, our faculty, our staff. We serve the community, and I think he would be very proud of us.
If Dr. King were here today, it is probably the diversity factor that he would be most proud of. It's certainly what I'm most proud of about America. You know, for all our problems and struggles with doing diversity right, we still do amazingly well compared to just about any other society. You know, there's a lot more to be done, but people are generally more included than they might be in other places. I think if Dr. King were walking around UMSL, he would be thrilled to see the diversity of faces.
One of the things that Dr. King was very passionate about was making sure that everyone had equal educational opportunities. And at the university level, I mean, of course, we treat every student the same, and we expect students to come with a certain level of preparation. But due to the state of our situation in the state of Missouri and across the country, we have a huge disparity in our educational system depending on a student's income, a student's family income. And I think he would have a big problem with that. I have a big problem with that. I mean, we have to make sure that every Missouri resident, every United States resident has access to a quality education. And right now, everyone does not have that option.
You know, like he says, all little girls and boys of all colors and creeds together. And I believe that I saw that come to pass in a lot of the things that we would do. People with disabilities are merely just people. And they're just as diverse because it's probably it is the largest minority group because it encompasses all the minorities and the majorities all together.
I think he'd probably say it hasn't gone as far as he would like, but that he's delighted at how far it's gone. And I think that's sort of my view of things. I think it has gone immensely well. I think the American society, when they elected Barack Obama, in essence said we're all equal, we all count, we all should have an opportunity to be useful, to contribute to the society, but we still have a little way to go.
I think he'd be most proud of, he made a prediction that there would be a black president, he said before the century would be over. He predicted that, and he was kind of always the optimist. And so I think he'd be really, really proud of that.
If Dr. King were alive, he would be very happy to be a witness to the fact that an African American, a black person, is the president of these United States. For him to have been elected a second time, that was a thrill. And the only reason I'm not going to his inauguration is that for me to get around, I could very well have a walker and get around. But I really wanted to go to the first because I didn't think that I would live to see that. I didn't think that I would ever live to see a black man as president of these United States. So I'm very happy.
I think if Martin Luther King was here today, he would still give the same speech he gave in August 1963 on the Washington Monument. And that is, we are here today because of a promissory note made by the founders of this country to black Americans that every man is entitled, every person, to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And he said, and that promissory note has been marked insufficient funds. And I would argue he was saying in 2013 the check is still bouncing. But the first part of his challenge about why he said he was in Washington, why he was giving that speech, nobody pays attention to. And that's what makes him the profound leader that he is. And I would argue that the challenge that he laid out in August of '63 is still very much with us in January 21st, 2013.
If Dr. King were walking on our campus today, I know he would be very proud because we are fulfilling that dream on many levels. Not that we've fully achieved it, we still have a ways to go, but we have, in essence, reached out, we have embraced and certainly included the very individuals that he fought so hard for to make sure that they had equal rights, that they had a chance, an opportunity to fulfill their dreams.